This show is sponsored by Bitonic. Invest in Bitcoin with ease.
Connect the Wild.
Erik, CTO second, Belgium.
Belgium has a lot to offer, from waffles to beer to deep-thinking developers. Do you think Belgians get enough credit internationally for their creative and tech contributions?
Yes.
Running clears the mind, pushes the body and tests the discipline. Have you ever run just to think through a problem and ended up solving it by the end of the route?
Yes.
Noodle soup is warm, humble, and universally loved. Do you have a go-to place in Belgium where the noodle soup is so good you'd keep it a secret from tourists?
No.
Slumdog Millionaire hit emotionally and cultural chords around the world. After watching it, did you feel like quitting everything and just traveling for a while?
Yes.
The National is known for their melancholic yet moving sound. Have you ever listened to one of their songs on repeat during a rainy walk home?
No.
Vietnam is rich in flavor, history and scenery. On your last visit, did you come back with more than just good memories? Maybe a few motorbike bruises or a suitcase full of fish sauce?
Yes.
Malcolm Gladwell has a knack for reshaping how we see everyday life. After reading one of his books, did you ever catch yourself applying his theories to people at a party?
Yes.
Running is your sport, but let's be honest, have you ever skipped a run and told yourself a long walk counts too, right?
Yes.
Gueuze is one of those beers with personality, funky, tart and a bit wild. Have you ever introduced Gueuze to someone and instantly regretted it when they made that face?
Yes.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
No.
Welcome to the Connected World Weekly Podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Steph. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 134 of Connected World, and this show is made possible by our friends from Bitonic and BRINGIN. Thank you guys for helping out with our mission to connect the world with Lightning through with Bitcoin through the Lightning Network. Of course, we have a special guest, but more on that later. And if you also want to help out with our mission, then head over to our website or to our X account or Nostrdam, or subscribe at our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions at all, then head over to one of our Telegram groups where you can ask us anything. Conecta el mundo.
Yes, welcome Erik. Welcome to the show, man.
Erik, welcome.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
Of course.
Sure. You guys made a lot of buzz, so more on that in a bit. I was just curious because I asked you if you brought back home something different than good memories from Vietnam, and you said yes, and I said maybe some motorbike bruises or a suitcase full of fish sauce. Yeah, which one was it, or was it something completely different?
Yeah. Like after university, I traveled for a few months through Southeast Asia, and I think I lost so much stuff in Vietnam and bought all kind of cheap trash, like in various markets. So I have like various pieces of clothing, very low quality clothing that I just brought home.
Nice. Okay, so you traveled lightweight in a bit because you lost everything and then you bought it all back. And well, traveling through Southeast Asia, my favorite food is Asian food. Your favorite food is noodle soup, so it's also Asian. But if you travel through, I assume you travel through a lot of countries at that time. What was your favorite kitchen then there, apart from the noodle soup? I mean, because it's all like rice and chicken and curries and all that kind of stuff, but it can vary a little bit.
Yeah, it depends a bit. think like for me, the Thai and the Vietnamese cuisine were mostly the highlights. I think the Thai, they just have a lot of good spices and fresh flavors. Vietnam also has, I think, the best noodle soups, and I love them, so that's good. But also, if you stay a bit longer in places, if you just always go for the cheap thing, you always get the cheap same noodle soup. But I also had a lot of really surprising good food in Vietnam, like some soup with eels. I don't really knew what it was, but it looked awesome.
I think you don't want to know exactly
you just
what you
eat it.
Nice.
Hey, I was wondering, Erik, about Malcolm Gladwell, and I didn't know who he was. But you said you applied it to people at a party, and I was thinking, at the party, what were you doing then, and what did you apply there? I mean,
yeah. It's like hard to remember it exactly, but one of the things I like about him, he has like a style where he just tells like some things. There's a book called Outliers where it just talks like, why are people great? And like one of his theses is you have to be smart, you have to be lucky. They probably have like be in the right place in the right time. And like at a party, you see people coming in and it's like, he has the night, he looks good, he's there, the people are there, and you just like see.
Yeah, so it enhances your people skills and to read other people, and I think, well, that's exactly what he's wrote about. So yeah,
cool,
interesting.
Hey, and you're also a fan of running. Have you ever run a marathon, or is it just like shorter but higher pace, or what kind of runner are you?
I haven't run a marathon so far, but I'm training for one. So it's getting pretty close. It's in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks?
Yeah, in 2 weeks. So I'm almost ready. It's
so you're almost in shape.
Almost in shape. It's like you hit a point where there's nothing you can do anymore. Now you need to stop running and just hope or run a lot less. Yeah. So your body recovers. And I'm currently hoping it will. And I will be able to run a marathon in 2 weeks.
Awesome.
Oh, that's crazy, man. But what distance are you capable of? What is like the longest you have run now in your training?
In the training, the longest I did was 30 kilometers.
Okay.
But the thing is, training they usually say when training you need to run very slow. So you run on snail pace.
Yeah.
And 30 kilometers feels kind of tough, but on the marathon you kind of want to set a time. So I wonder what the feeling will be.
Yeah,
it might be worse.
Because then you're going to give more, of course.
But I also heard, because I have a couple of friends who are also training for a whole marathon, and they also ran a half marathon, and they say that after 30 kilometers is like you're like in a black hole or something. You just the final 10 kilometers are the most difficult of all, because you're just in a black hole. And I don't know, I've never ran not even a half a marathon. I think the longest I run was 8 kilometers or something, but that's what I've been told. So I'm wondering if
the is also different. The half marathon, you can just run it on character. If you train that you don't break your knees, you're good. But the full one, you need to plan and prepare what food you will bring, and you need to have meal plans and stuff. And
oh man, yeah, of course,
crazy,
because
man.
you're eating at the same time. And
Yeah, crazy. I mean, I have a lot of respect for people like you who are trying to conquer this, because I think it's a real battle you're facing. So all the best with that. I was thinking, Edward, have you already bought your tickets for the Bitcoin Film Fest, my friend?
Still not, no.
Still not.
But it's still is interesting, of course. So maybe I will. It depends on the plans that I have in May. But I think it's amazing for people to, if you don't have plans, to go there, because it's the 22nd, right?
22nd till 25th of May.
So
in
you
Warsaw.
can also choose which day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
and if you buy a ticket, then you can use the discount code CTW10.
great,
It gives
great.
you a nice discount if you want to go. So
Great. Okay.
I think it's interesting to maybe change my plans.
Yes, you should. Hey, and Erik, before we start, because obviously you guys, I already told you, you're working with Second, and you guys work with the ARC protocol. So you build upon the ARC protocol to make it usable for users. It's kind of technical still, but before we are going to talk about that subject, I was wondering what put you to Second. Why did you? How did you end up there?
Yeah, I was actually working at Blockstream at the time when the first ARC announcements came out. I was working on Greenlight, which is basically a technology to make Lightning work on a phone, or one of the approaches. And at the time, of course, I was following everything related to Bitcoin. And I basically, the announcement came out and some people came together to basically try and figure out, like, what's happening here? Is this a real thing? Can it work? And I'm a good friend with Steven Roos, who also worked at Blockstream at the time. And we were already discussing it, like, can it work? How does it work? Do you understand it? And it was like, no, I don't, trying to figure things out. But basically the connections of trying to figure it out, it was like, at some point we were like, now we need to start building it, because, we just need to make sure it actually happens. And for us, that was the trigger to start a company.
Cool.
So that was a great time.
And the cool thing is, because Blockstream has its own Lightning implementation, right? So C Lightning or Core Lightning is it called nowadays?
Yeah.
So what were the reactions that you guys stopped working at Blockstream and then started up your own business, but not on Lightning, but ARC? Like it's not a real, like it's not a competitive kind of thing, right? Because it's like two different approaches to make second layers on Bitcoin. But what were the first reactions when you told
I think
Blockstream?
Yeah, for Blockstream, I think as long as people are working on good layer 2 protocols and making Bitcoin better, a lot of people in Blockstream just get happy.
Of course.
So I think, the reactions I got was pretty positive, like curious to see what you guys can do.
Awesome.
So now we still need to prove that it can be a real product that people can use.
Nice. And do you guys are also for instance, have contact with Rusty Russell, who is a Lightning developer, for instance, to maybe discuss problems you guys face, or how does it work?
Yeah, sometimes we ping a bit. I guess currently the most problems we have are the big ones which need the biggest priorities are still fully on our side. But we also integrate with Lightning. So if you go to our repository, we basically include Core Lightning in it. Like the ARC server basically also runs a Lightning node and is a bit the gateway for end users. We use it, and it's very nice because we have some experience and we know, like, not only where the knobs everyone uses are, but also the little knobs which are less well documented. And it's also good to know people that you can know, like, it's not you ask Blockstream for help, it's like, this part Christian Decker worked from, let's ask him for help.
Nice.
That makes things a lot smoother.
Cool. We both had them on the show. Great guys, by the way. So really cool to hear you guys are still in contact with each other. Hey, we have a lot of questions about ARC and your work at Second, but it has to be in the 21 minutes. So if you're ready, we would really love to get that part started, man.
Okay, let's go.
Let's do it.
All right. The 21 minutes is brought to you by BRINGIN, the app to reliably sell and spend Bitcoin from any wallet. Well, most of our listeners in some way are using or experimenting with the Lightning Network, of course, or they only know that as a second layer solution. And they, of course, see the plus sides of this second layer, the Lightning Network, because it's scalable. It has more privacy in it. It's fast. What is the ARC protocol? It's, of course, a long question, perhaps, but what problems does it try to solve regarding second layer solutions for Bitcoin?
Yeah. So we're mainly also like the Lightning Network. We're really focused at just making payments work. So making Bitcoin payments great again and making them good. But yeah, we've been using Lightning extensively. Now fee rates are good. I think the mempool was actually empty today.
Yeah,
it was.
That's right. Yeah, it was.
1.5, 2 years ago, making Bitcoin transactions was really expensive.
Yeah.
And one of the challenges with Lightning is you always need to do that one transaction to get a channel, and that costs money. And I think a lot of people have been there that they try to onboard someone, and it's like, hey, let's send you the equivalent of 10 euros or $10 to just show how great the demo is. And then it's like, I can use like some custodial app like Wallet of Satoshi. It looks great, but like that's not why we're here. And you can also use like a real Lightning app like Phoenix or Breeze. But then the first thing that happens is that like $7 on-chain fee to open a channel and most of the money is gone. And that's like,
that's so sad.
That's sad. That's not so great.
No.
And I guess with ARC, we kind of have a different approach to scaling. The idea is instead of where in Lightning, the basic concept is a channel. For us, the basic concept is a VTXO in a round. Mm-hmm. And basically every hour, there's a central server which schedules a round, and it puts one UTXO on chain, but basically that encodes the VTXOs of all the users. And the nice thing is if you onboard, like you just need to pay a small fee to maybe share that one UTXO with 1,000 people. And that can make onboarding a lot cheaper. So that's really nice. But the problem also extends. There was a Lightning Festival, I think it was 2.5 years ago in Italy. Yeah. And they said to the merchants, hey, you should accept Lightning. And I don't remember what app they used, but like basically whatever happened, those guys were selling stuff. And like, it was like, let's say you sell sandwiches for 3 euros or something, and every 50 euros, like they opened a new channel, that app. And at the end of the money, they tried to return your money and a lot of it was gone. I guess that's just a crappy Lightning implementations in some way. Yeah, but I guess you keep having the problem that as an end user, you randomly get a cost like, hey, my channel on-chain cost, why does it happen? Like users don't want to worry about Lightning channels. Right. They just want stuff to work and have predictable costs. So I think that's the main reason why we're working on it.
Yeah, and you mentioned VTXOs a couple of times. Which stands for virtual transaction output, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So the core idea is a VTXO. Basically, in Bitcoin, usually your wallet has something which we call unspent transaction outputs, and in technical jargon, people write UTXO. And that's basically if you put a transaction on chain, the transaction has outputs, and the UTXO is one output. A VTXO is exactly the same. It's also a Bitcoin transaction. The only difference is that you hold the Bitcoin transaction and you can broadcast it and put it on chain whenever you want. And the ARC protocol is constructed in such a way that you have a guarantee that you can put a transaction on chain if you need to. Basically, if the ARC server misbehaves, but you don't need to pay the on-chain fee all the time.
So this is a way more efficient, right?
Exactly.
And lower cost.
Exactly.
Well, without the fees, it's just a no-brainer then.
Yeah, exactly. Perhaps. So the goal is to put as little as data as we can on the chain, because every transaction we put on the chain costs money, and we basically try to keep them off. But when problems occur, like as an end user, we call it unilateral exit. Is you can always just pay the fees and broadcast the transactions, and it will cost you some money. but you can get your money out.
Yeah, but I assume there, because someone has to host the server for Arc to work, and I assume that if you use that server, that there will be some costs in using it, right? I mean, it won't be free.
Yeah, exactly. There's never free lunch. So basically,
no, exactly.
Yeah. So basically what the business model is, and that's like one of the things which is nice about your protocol, is if someone runs an Arc server and you develop the protocol, there's kind of a business model embedded. So people can say, I want to participate in a round and I want to share this UTXO. And the one like which goes on chain, and let's say if it costs like $5 to make the Bitcoin transaction and you share it with 100 people, like the server can ask like everyone 7 cents each. It makes $7. You can put 2 in the pockets, and it can, and the 5 others are spent due to on-chain costs.
Yeah. And how does it work with the Lightning network? Of course, the nodes need to be online for a cooperative close of channels. But how does it work when, because you talked about unilateral exit, how can you reclaim funds on-chain if the server disappears or maybe misbehaves? I don't know if that's already possible, but...
Yeah, so that's something we've implemented today. I guess that's kind of the crux of it.
Really?
Yeah. But basically, when we develop something, we basically say if the unilateral exit doesn't work, it's not ready. I guess if you still try it today, we've got some people testing it out and we still find things which are flaky. But in most cases, it just works now, which is on the alpha version, but it will be very reliable. But yeah, it's basically, actually, it's kind of similar as with Lightning. With Lightning, you have a channel, and basically you have some kind of channel close transaction. And you can basically say, I pay the fees, put it on chain. Then the transaction comes on chain, and then you need to wait a bit until you can access the money. And with Arc, depends a bit on what the configuration is, but with Arc, it's kind of similar. So basically, you will also have not one, but multiple. So there will be a little bit of a change. So it will be a bit more expensive. So in this case, you might need to broadcast maybe 5 transactions. You broadcast them, and then there's the same thing. There's a time lock. You wait until the time lock disappears, and you can access the money. So it's kind of similar. What might be interesting is this is only if you really have, like, in the emergency case, this is expensive. And you only want to use it if you actually need to. If you're just like, with Lightning, you have like the force and closure in the cooperative close, where the cooperative gives you money instantly and is a bit cheaper. Arc has the same concept. So you can also go to the server and say, hey, I want to exchange this BTXO against the UTXO. And that's much cheaper. So the trade-offs are kind of similar in that way. Yeah,
and I can imagine that when people hear Arc servers and a service provider, then people think, whoa, this is extremely centralized, which it is in a way. But the thing is that you are capable of getting your funds out of the server at any time with no cooperation. You don't need cooperation from the server, right? So this is why it's in a way also non-custodial, or like not centralized, decentralized, because you're the one with all the power to your funds, right? You don't need.
You can always get your money out. You're in control of the funds. However, you still want to probably pick a server with good reputation, because if your server disappears every 3 months and you always need to pay for the unilateral exit, the savings of using Arc might be small. But in some way, I guess it's not much different than how people use Lightning today. So if people use Lightning on their mobile phone, they usually don't care about nodes and channel, but usually your app basically has one Lightning node, which we call the Lightning service provider. And you connect to that one. And basically that server can basically see over the channel when you send or receive money. And to keep costs low, you usually just want one channel on your phone. You don't want to go to multiple, because then you need to pay the on-chain fees twice. If your LSP is down, you can't transact. So you also we see that Lightning, for end users at least, is also in some way evolving, not into like a fully decentralized network where all nodes are equal. We see that like some big nodes appear, which we call Lightning service providers, and a lot of people connect to it. And in that way,
but the only difference is then that if you use a custodial Lightning wallet, which also probably makes use of Lightning service providers. Then, if something happens to that app or that business or whatever, you are not 100% guaranteed that you can get your funds out. And with Arc, you are, because you're still completely in charge of your own funds, right?
Yeah, exactly. So with Arc, you are sure, but there's also like other Lightning apps, for example, like Phoenix or Breeze, which are also non-custodial.
Yeah,
exactly. And basically, you have like kind of similar trade-offs. So you're also connecting to a centralized hub who can see in some way what transactions you do. But yeah, I guess those are definitely better than the custodial ones. And I guess with Arc, from like a privacy and centralization perspective, it's kind of the same. It's just like the mobile phone talks Arc to the server, who then speaks Lightning to the wider network to make payments happen. While with LSPs, you basically speak Lightning.
Hey, and what I was also wondering, in Lightning, receiving payments requires inbound liquidity. So there's the channel again. For most people, this can be a hurdle, especially when you're not that technical or something, and you need to set up channels yourself. How does Arc's approach of virtual UTXOs, so the VTXOs and server coordination, allow for frictionless receiving?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So basically, the idea is if you have a VTXO, it's going to get a little bit technical, but let's dive in. Basically, there's two ways. It's a Bitcoin transaction. It has an output, and basically that output always has a script. And that script basically tells you how you can spend it. And usually your script tells if I have a signature with this public key, it's okay. We have basically always one where we call it the client and the server. If they both sign, you can spend it, or like the client can get it after some time lock. What basically happens if you send immediately, we call it out of run. Basically, you and the server just sign an off-chain transaction, and we create a new VTXO. It works instantly, it's cheap, it doesn't require liquidity, but it comes with a little bit of a security trade-off. So as a receiver, you're need to rely on the fact that the client and the server don't collude. So if the server sends you money, this is basically insecure. In some way, it's not that bad because you can just wait for the next round, which we plan to schedule every hour or something. So you can just wait 1 hour, and then basically you can say, I take this VTX, so we call it refreshing, and you get into a security model where you don't need to have that extra trust assumption. So as an end user, you can basically pick which security trade-offs you are willing to make.
Yeah.
And if you are thinking about the developer who wants to build something around or on top of the Arc protocol, what will be his experience when integrating Arc through, for example, SDK? Is it simple for non-crypto native apps developers to onboard users with Lightning or Arc payments?
I think today, it will still be very hard because we haven't polished anything. My gut feeling is if you want to make an app, you need to have some background on what's underlying. If you just want to make a normal Bitcoin wallet,
of course,
there's great APIs, but if you don't understand the inner workings, don't do it because it's really dangerous and you're messing with people's money. So I guess you need to have some level of knowledge. I do expect that over time we can smoothen the experience to make it quite easy. But today we're just building everything in a programming language called Rust, which is great to write Bitcoin things, and there's good Bitcoin libraries. But if usually you go to a front-end developer, he's like, I don't want this. And we haven't developed bindings yet, but we plan to do it and make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
Hey, and with Second, you guys offer a super simple API integration for enabling both Arc and Lightning payments. This sounds like the perfect combination. How do you facilitate interoperability between those two protocols? And what challenges did you encounter in implementing this bridge? You already told us that you run a Lightning node, which I assume is needed to do this. But how do you guys do this?
Actually, it's kind of straightforward. So one of the fun things about Arc VTXOs is basically they're built on Bitcoin script. So if Bitcoin script can do it, you can probably do it inside of VTXO, which is really nice. So basically Lightning under the hood uses some kind of contract called HDLCs, which basically is I give you the money if you can show me like a payment secret.
Yeah.
We can just implement it in Arc. And basically your Arc wallet will grant that HDLC to the server. The server will send the payment over the Lightning network, get the pre-image back, show it to you, and then it's like, oh, now I can claim the money, and it's set up. So it's kind of straightforward, actually. It's
but the other way around is more difficult.
Exactly.
I understand. Yeah,
the other way around is a bit more difficult. Because what you need to receive money is you need to get an HDLC. If I want to receive money, and let's say you're the Arc server needs to open an HDLC to me, so where that I can give like the pre-image. That's exactly how it works. But that's a little bit more tricky. We kind of hit like that inbound liquidity problem again. If you want to do the Lightning integration, because that's fundamental to Lightning. But there are some ways you can work around it by either making the payment non-instant, which is a little bit slower, or basically you can get into a model where things are trusted. There's also models where basically you can do Lightning channels within the Arc tree. So we're still developing quite a few approaches and seeing what the trade-offs are. But we currently have some proof of concepts where Lightning Receive seems to be working, but it's still the work of polishing it and making sure it's secure and that.
But I understand. If I understand this well, then it will work in the near future. You guys are going to find a way.
Yeah, we have a couple of approaches, I guess. None of the approaches is like hitting all the boxes, because you want it to be trustless, instant, cheap, and like having nothing. But I guess the easiest one we can do is just making payments last a little bit longer. But I guess that could be a trade-off, which is fine for a lot of cases.
Yeah, because you launched Arc on Signet not so long ago. Well, this month, and I also read that, of course, transaction fees are now 0. So it's interesting to just use it now, of course. But what pain points have emerged so far, except for the Lightning Receive functionality that you're still working on, or are there any unexpected challenges or surprises that you've encountered?
Yeah, I guess when you launch a new product, you always have, when people start using it, you always see things. And it are just stupid things, bugs, triggering crashes and stuff like that, especially because if you read our code, like a lot of things is like, if like something goes back and there's like to do, just quit and handle it if it ever happens. So we hit a lot of those, more than we expected, but that's great. I guess one of the things which kind of came out, and it's like a stupid technicality, is currently in Arc, because we're using Bitcoin transactions, and if you want to get your Bitcoin transaction on chain, you need to pay a fee. But like we basically make a chain of transactions, and we use something called a fee anchor, and basically it's an output in the transaction. And the core idea is if I want to get this, we call it the parent, which is a transaction we want to get on chain. And if we want to get it on chain, there's a fee anchor, and there's a child which spends the fee anchor, and that child transaction pays a very high fee, which is big enough to bring both of them on chain. So that child pays for a parent. And we need to make it work, but currently in that fee anchor, we need to put some sets. And currently, for the way we do it, it's 330 sets. But it's kind of a fee we technically have to charge. I thought like 330 sats is not a lot, like in the mindset
No,
of
it is.
using Signet money. It's called dust. It's an amount which Bitcoin Core thinks is so small that you can never spend it economically. But people got fairly upset about that. But it's something we can technically solve because the Bitcoin Core guys are doing great work at making transaction
awesome.
relay better.
Yeah, cool. Hey, and I was wondering, Erik, because this all works without the need of a Bitcoin soft fork. So this is, amazing because you guys are just working with a new protocol without the need of a soft fork or a adjustment in the Bitcoin protocol. But this also means you guys have to play by the rules of the current Bitcoin Core version, which also brings a couple of limitations to what you guys are capable of developing. And I was wondering if you could propose a soft fork, or if you could propose something to change that gives you guys a lot of more possibilities to build upon. What would it be? What are you dreaming of? If you say, well, this, if I could put this in a soft fork and I really know that it's accepted by everyone, every node, everyone is going to run this version, what would it be?
That's a good one. It's kind of funny because if you look at, like, there's a group of proposals called covenants, which basically makes script more expressive. And basically the oldest one is called OpSecure. It was first called OpSecure the back. Now it's called OpCTV for Object Template Verify. And for us, it basically ticks nearly all the boxes. However, for a lot of other people who like also want to do cool stuff with script, it's just not powerful enough. So basically you would want to something, it's called OpCTV from stack. But I think if you would get those two together, it would get very strong. It would be a very strong proposal. So people are working on it. Soft forks are controversial, so let's see what happens.
Better not speak about it.
I don't like the mindset of not speaking about it.
No, of
it's
course.
super important to Bitcoin. Also with our topics, which are hard to understand, and people have gotten very emotional about it. But I'm like always happy if we get in a setup where people can just,
of course,
openly discuss it, the trade-offs, and there's no rush to do things. But I think 2-3 years ago, saying like, I want covenants was something which was deemed a lot more controversial than today. And I think having the open discussion is great.
Makes it still interesting.
I just wanted you to have a bit of a dream, right? So it's not that we are now going to propose something or something.
I think as a developer, it's good to have rules, because then you can figure out like a puzzle how to make it work. But of course, it's also good to dream about, what are the hurdles that can be solved otherwise. But it makes a good discussion. That's for sure. We reached the end of our 21 minutes. So, but there is something else.
Yeah, we still have one question left for you, Erik. And the fun thing is that you may choose yourself. We pre-recorded a question from Sync, and he is from Cypher.space, or from Ian Reis, and he is from Next Block. So which one will it be?
Oh, I need to pick now. I can't hear the question.
Yeah. No, you can't hear the question. No, that's the whole thing.
Let's give me the second question.
The second. Okay. Here he comes.
Hi, I'm Ian Reis from Nextblock, and this is my question for you. Can you think of a better business model than Zaps for the Nostr protocol?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Will it work with combining Nostr with Arc?
I guess it's a good question. So I guess one of the challenges with VTXOs, like if you want to publish them and your VTXO is then set, like it's kind of hard to get that on chain. It will never be economical. And that's where Lightning is a bit nicer, because you will always have only one output. But what you can always do is just in every round aggregate them. So I guess it can work, but I guess it might take some research.
I guess Erik has some work to do, Ed. But that's,
These are
that's the
really
conclusion.
small
That's the conclusion.
payment sizes.
Yeah, but I actually don't know what better business. Yeah, I guess
Okay.
for content creators, like Zaps are great. I guess currently the question is also how do you fund relays? And currently there's like the paid relays, but I think there's still quite some fun stuff to figure out on how to make those work. My current impression is it's still mostly hobbyists and people who do it for fun. But that's also how the Lightning Network got started. Like,
absolutely.
With Lightning in the first.
I'm running three relays, and it's all about fun. It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, thanks.
Well,
Okay.
indeed. Thanks.
Conectează lumea.
Hey, where can people follow you, Erik? Maybe your ex account, or maybe you are active on Nostr. And also, where can people follow all the things and stuff you guys do at Second and the developments of Arc?
So we're mostly active on X, or formerly Twitter. My handle is Erik de Smedt, and the one of our company is Second BTC. And you write it 2ND BTC. I'm also active on GitHub, and we host our code on Coburg. It's a bit like GitHub, but we don't like it that all the code is on one repository of like all Bitcoin.
Very smart.
Cool. Smart, yes.
All right. And of course, second.tech is the website, right?
Exactly. Second.tech is our website. We also have a newsletter where you can sign up and make sure that you can stay posted when updates happen.
You can try everything. Thanks again, Erik. And for everybody else, of course, thanks for listening in. And thanks to everyone helping to connect the world with us. If you like our content, then please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also make a donation and subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform. So remember, we need you to complete our mission, connect the world, and keep those nodes running, sats flowing, and try Arc. Could be interesting. And see you all next week on this same Lightning channel. Hallo, Erik.
Salut.
Very well.